The streets in Bhopal were crowded. People were running, vomiting, coughing, falling and dying. The scenario that took place around 1 a.m. on the intervening night of 2-3 December in the year 1984. Within a few hours, Bhopal hit the headlines. The worst industrial accident in the history of India had occurred in its heart's Madhya Pradesh, capital city of Bhopal. Union Carbide India Limited was a pesticide company which had accidentally leaked 42 tons of lethal methyl isocyanate gas in the atmosphere of the city. The gas blew towards the half of millions of Bhopal's residents. As the gas cloud condensed and sank to ground level, it cloaked the atmosphere in a poisonous blanket. Soon the sleeping city of Bhopal in the night with empty streets was converted into the haphazard location with people gasping for breath in terrified confusions. Meanwhile, the workers in the pesticide company continuously tried to neutralize the gas, but the safety systems could not work. Even the company's barriers to tackle the disaster failed. Water cannons were employed to dissolve the escaping gas, but nothing was powerful enough to stop the gas spewing from a chimney. With every minute, the invisible gas was spreading, covering an area of some 8 km wide, making the situation more worse for the locals. With choking breaths and burning eyes and mouths, thousands flee their home in a panic stampede. Hospitals in the city were overwhelmed with the huge crowd of people. They were choking and dying, but the doctors' standard remedies were not helping. The police had told the doctors that the leaked gas was ammonia. As the symptoms shown by the victims went far more extreme, the doctors realized it was an unknown medical condition. Only an hour later, they were informed that it was toxic methyl isocyanate, which is used in the production of rubbers and adhesives and is extremely hazardous to human and animal life. But by then, it was quite late. As the people inhaled the poisonous methyl isocyanate, it quickly reacted with the water in their bodies, forcing blood to pour into the tiny spaces in the lungs, making breathing impossible for them. The swollen lungs led to many on-the-spot deaths. From 3 o'clock, there was a line of dead bodies in the city. With the rising of the sun, the number rose to more than 3,000 deaths, and the other 1.02 lakhs severely affected. By daylight, the city was devastated. Animals like cows, buffaloes, dogs lay dead on the roads. In the slum opposite to the Union Carbide, about 10,000 people lived earlier. But it was empty now. A city of 8.5 lakh of people behaved like a city of ghosts. The horrifying disaster was followed by a simple question of what caused this fatal accident. The Bhopal plant mass-produced MIC, which was carefully stored in liquid forms in tanks very deep underground. One of the tanks, E6110, was 75% full, which was beyond the corporation's recommended level of 50%. The deadly catastrophe was the result of a violent chemical reaction inside E610 on a huge scale. On tracing the root cause of the disaster, investigators found out that the tank wasn't split so as to let the gas escape. It was escaped through the emergency venting system out in the atmosphere, leading to runaway reaction. This raised yet another important question of how it had happened. Dr. Tyagarajan, one of the chemical engineers from the investigation team, said, "We had calculated that 500 kg of water entered the tank. MIC reacts with explosive violence. The smallest impurity of any metal and water are deadly. So it was a huge volume of water combined with metal impurities which sparked the violent and deadly reaction. Contact with water caused MIC to heat up, boil and vaporize." The chemical engineers were faced with a challenge. 2 more tanks of MIC 611 and 619 were stored underground, which could possibly leak too. To avoid yet another disastrous situation, the Operation Faith was quickly undertaken by them, wherein the 21 tons of MIC from 611 and 1 ton from 619 was converted into 7 at the conversion rate of 3-4 tons daily. Started on December 16, 1984, the process ended 6 days later. The chemical engineers had successfully averted the possible Bhopal gas tragedy too. The catastrophes like this are technically termed as low probability, high consequence events. While the company had chemical plants worldwide, it was difficult to understand how they were not aware of the chemical's dangerous volatility. Although the Union Carbide always maintained that they were not responsible for the leak, calling the gas tragedy to be a sabotage, there is no denying the fact that the plant curtailed the safety mechanisms and preventive maintenance after the plant suffered some financial losses. During the years 1981 and 1984, small leaks had become common affairs in the plant. Reportedly, there was a leak in December 1981 which had injured the 2 workers and killed 1 other. When even after this, the management continued with its decision to save money at the expense of safety, a fatal accident like Bhopal gas tragedy was likely to take place. The cost-cutting began with a missing slip line. Slip line is a device that slides into the junction of 2 pipe sections, forming watertight seal whenever pipes are being washed. Its absence allowed the water to flow into the MIC tank. Had it been there, there would have been no accident. After this, there was an incredible chain of failures and negligence by its staff. MIC, on combining with water and iron mixture, water collected iron from rust inside the aging pipes, triggered an unstoppable reaction. There was no refrigeration to keep the rising temperature under control. Even after smelling the gas, the workers dismissed it as a minor leak. As liquid changed into gas, pressure soared in the tank, but faulty gauges showed a little change until all of a sudden readings shoot off the scale. The flare tower, a backup safety system which should have burnt off the escaping gas, was also out of action. Thus, the massive cutbacks in safety measures invited a massive disaster. In addition to the 3,787 immediate deaths, 15,000 people later died as a result of the disaster. The leak had also caused 5,58,125 injuries, including 38,478 temporary partial injuries and approximately 3,900 severely and permanently disabling injuries. The CEO of the Union Carbide, Warren Anderson, was arrested when he had turned up to Bhopal. But after being held under house arrest for only a few hours, he was released on bail. He had immediately fled the country to never return to face the trial. He died in the year 2014. However, in the year 1989, the Union Carbide Corporation paid $470 million as settlement for the victims to the Indian government. On its part, the government of India also failed. It failed to acquire adequate knowledge and implication of effective preventive measures while granting the license for the manufacture of the highly toxic pesticide. Even after the 33 years, Bhopal is still trying to come out of the grip of that terrible industrial disaster. A report issued in the year 2013 by the Indian Institute of Toxicology Research, Lucknow, suggests that the soil and groundwater within 3.5 kilometers from the UCC factory site is contaminated with cancer and birth defect causing chemicals even today. The survivors are still suffering from debilitating conditions such as asthma, chest infections, keratopathy, and corneal opacities. Even the third-generation children of survivors are being born with mental and physical deformities. In 1994, Union Carbide India Limited sold its shares to McLeod Russell. UCIL was renamed as Eveready Industries India Limited. The responsibility of the site environmental cleanup was assumably undertaken by EIIL. Although the plant is rotting and rusting, it is casting its horrific shadow over the city of Bhopal even today. I hope you liked our today's video. To stay tuned to more such videos, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.